But you've got to say exactly why this is necessary. Because first they said tariffs are, if you don't close the border, tariffs. If you don't stop the fentanyl from coming in, tariffs. If you don't, trade with us fairly, tariffs. Without saying, look at what Canada is doing to us. This is why we have to tariff them back. Look at what Mexico is doing to us. That's why we have to tariff them back. He continued.
This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before.
Again, simply explain it, and we will understand. Then we can make an educated decision. It's not about just adding tariffs because we feel like it to make prices go up. No president benefits by making prices go up. None. It doesn't work that way. But nobody likes to be taken advantage of either. Nobody. I'll give you a quick example. And this is the most rudimentary example I can think of. At my first radio station, WBGF in Belglade, Florida, in 1989-ish, guy's name was Bob Baker, who ran it. It wasn't his real name, but that was the name he went by. Had this really, really affected radio voice. He did this thing in the morning show. So they decided to get the staff, and I was making $4.25 an hour, couldn't afford it, had my car repossessed, and we were evicted from the apartment. Couldn't afford anything, but we wanted to be in radio. This guy ended up buying T-shirts or maybe even golf shirts for the staff. It would say WBGF, and it would say Joe, or whatever the person's name was. So he buys them and tells me he needs $15. Like, okay, $15 for a T-shirt, even in 1989. I mean, it wasn't that bad if you had any money. I was po. I mean, didn't have the O and the R. We weren't poor. We were po. So I could, $15 is a lot of money. Scratch it together somehow. And was going to give it to him. And there was a person on staff named Jan. And Jan had her new shirt on. I said, hey, Jan, how you doing? Nice shirt. She said, it is great that he gave us all these shirts. So what do you mean? He gave it to you? Yeah. Hey, Bob, did you charge Jan for the shirt? Well, no. I said, well, why are you charging me for the shirt? Oh, you drive a fancy car. I thought that you had the money. Now, Sam, is that fair?
No.
That's just kind of dumb. So I said, Bob, I am poor, dude. You pay me nothing. I'm about to get my car repossessed, and I'll probably lose the apartment soon. I was trying to scratch together the $15 because you said you needed it. He said, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Had I not said something, what would have happened? I'd have given Bob $15 that I didn't have. This is the same exact thing with the tariffs. When we send stuff to Mexico or we send stuff to Canada or to China or fill in the blank, the EU, they charge us a tariff. While at the same time, we charge much less tariff or no tariff at all. How is that fair? One side's getting all the benefit, the other side gets no benefit, and they'll charge us more because we can pay it. Or they think we can. We're $36 trillion in debt. A lot more in debt than I was in 1989, and I was in debt. But I couldn't afford it. They were taking advantage, or Bob tried to, because he thought that I had the money. They're taking advantage of the United States because they think that we have the money. No big deal if you do it to us. This is finally somebody stepping up and saying what tariffs are all about. Now, listen, if you're educated and you now understand it, and if you think that it would have been fair for Bob to charge me and not somebody else, then you probably disagree with the tariffs. But if you now understand exactly how it works, I can't see how you'd be against them.
For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steel workers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen, we have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago. and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal. That means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple. Can't get any simpler than that.
I agree wholeheartedly. It's extremely simple. Reciprocal tariffs are only, we're going to charge you what you charge us. Sam, if a country is charging us zero tariffs, what will the reciprocal tariff be from us?
0.
Oh, so you're saying, in other words, if it's reciprocal and Canada went from 270% on some dairy down to 0, we would then charge 0?
Yes,
Stop it.
that's true.
Wow. But let me ask you this, because this is going to be weird now. This might be hard math. Let's say Mexico charged us 10%, and then we charged them 10%. Would that be reciprocal?
Yes, it would.
Wait a second. So if they charge us 20, what should our tariff be on them?
20.
Stop it. All right, so what you're saying is it's common sense that there will be no tariff whatsoever if you just make it 0, and none of these countries is making it 0. Maybe they'll start now, but again, this has been so badly sold so far the past 2 months of this administration. I'm so glad he walked out today and started laying down some truth. I'm going to bring you a longer soundbite now with President Trump where he starts explaining even more about what these tariffs mean and why they're so important. And again, I'm making a comparison to illegal immigration in a little while. If you got a comment about tariffs, about prices, about the stock market, about any of that stuff because of tariffs, I definitely want to hear from you. 833-JOE-PAGS.
For decades, the United States slashed our trade barriers on other countries while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries. And in many cases, the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property, imposed exorbitant VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it.
I want to tell you what a VAT is. A VAT is an actual value-added tax. That's what they call it, a VAT tax. It's actually a double, it's saying tax twice if you say VAT tax, just called a VAT. Value-added tax, which is not what it sounds like. A VAT simply is an added tax on top of whatever you bought. It's like a consumption tax on top of a sales tax. So they're taxing us and tariffing us out of business. Most of the manufacturing left the country for a while, starting to come back, but so much of our stuff is being manufactured overseas now. And that's what he's talking about. They took advantage in every way they could.
It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on foreign trade barriers. And I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much. As I understand it, you'll pay nothing. It's a lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks our workers have faced for so many years. The United States charges other countries only a 2.4 tariff on motorcycles. Meanwhile, Thailand and others are charging much higher prices, like 60%. India charges 70%. Vietnam charges 75%, and others are even higher than that. Likewise, until today, the United States has for decades charged a 2.5 tariff. Think of that, 2.5% on foreign-made automobiles. The European Union charges us more than 10% tariffs, and they have 20% VATs, much, much higher. India charges 70%, and perhaps worst of all are the non-monetary restrictions imposed by South Korea, Japan, and very many other nations. As a result of these colossal trade barriers, 81% of the cars in South Korea are made in South Korea. 94% of the cars in Japan are made in Japan. Toyota sells 1 million foreign-made automobiles into the United States, and General Motors sells almost none. Ford sells very little. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries. And I say that, friend and foe. And in many cases, the friend is worse than the foe in terms of trade.
But just think of those numbers, 2.4 and 2.5 as compared to 60. He should have done this a long time ago. And again, those surrounding him should say, hey, let's really spell this out in a very simple way. Now, there's a reason why I brought up illegal immigration or immigration, period, when it comes to tariffs. The way that it's been run is the same way our immigration system has been run as well. Again, you cannot bring 7 to 10 million to 15 million illegal aliens across the border of any country on the planet except ours. Let me say that again. We are the only country on the planet that is supposed to just inherently accept anybody who wants to break in illegally. Can't break into Mexico that way. Big trouble if you do. Can't do it in Canada. Big trouble if you do. You can't do that in any other country. Can't take a boat and go to Cuba. I guess you could. You'd be locked up immediately. We are actually involved in building fences and borders and walls in the Middle East for different countries. But this country, you had to shut up and take it. For some reason, we're the land of plenty, so we have to shut up and take it. Or because we're an invading colonialist land that enslaved people. Listen, almost every country on the planet formed itself the same way. So again, the fact that we're somehow bad. Why do you think they speak Spanish in Mexico? Sam, any ideas?
Maybe because Spain conquered it at one point?
Duh. Very, very, very smart daughter I have there. Conquered by Spain. Why do they speak Portuguese in Brazil? I'm guessing Portugal had something to do with conquering Brazil. You know, the idea that somehow we're the bad guys and everybody else on earth is just innocent flowers is ridiculous. So when it comes to immigration, we're supposed to shut up and just give everybody everything. And they did that for 4 years. Free phone, free food, free clothing, free stay at a really nice hotel in New York City, free flight anywhere you want to go, free education. And we should just shut up and take it. How dare we complain? Will other countries do it? Nope. So why wouldn't the immigration policies be reciprocal? Oh, you do it that way, Mexico, we'll do it that way too. Oh, you can't do that, racist. Racist. What? Why? How am I racist? What do you mean? So now when it comes to trade and tariffs, finally somebody is exposing what other countries are doing to us. And I'll be honest, it took too long. Should not have taken this long at all to just very simply explain it. This is what they're doing to us. We're going to do it back to them. You got people in Canada who are saying horrible things about us. You got people in Canada calling it a trade war. We've got our own media on this side calling it a trade war. In fact, Sam, you sent me a story that I'm not going to read, but I want to read the headline to those who are watching and listening. So I think this headline really covers it. Trump to impose higher than expected tariffs, markets drop. Not Trump to impose the exact same tariffs everybody else imposes on us. No. Just higher than expected tariffs. Why are they higher than expected? He has said the word reciprocal for about a month and a half now. If you're in the news media, even the legacy media that is not real journalism, and they suck. If you're in the media, all you have to do is say Trump to impose reciprocal tariffs. It's kind of simple just to say it. Higher than expected. How can it be higher than expected if he said reciprocal and he's putting the exact same tax and tariff on that the other countries are? Sam, let's say a country is putting a 10% tax on our stuff. What tax is Trump going to put on?
10%.
How did you know that? It's higher than expected, isn't it?
Reciprocal.
So it's exactly as expected then.
Yes.
What?
Yep.
Come on, man. It makes my stomach, look at my stomach. My stomach hurts. Well, you can't see it, but it hurts. Gives me a stomach ache to see how dumb they think we are. If he says reciprocal, and if you don't know the definition of it, look it up, no problem. Learn the word. And if he says reciprocal, know what it means, then you know the exact tax. So if I went to this is CNBC that wrote that headline. If I said to CNBC, hey, what's the tariff that Japan puts on? And they say, whatever the number is, let's say 40%. Well, now it's going to be reciprocal from the United States. Do you know what we should expect from the United States? Their answer should be yes, 40%. Not higher than expected. Higher than expected, Trump bad. Come on, dude. Come on, man. Come on. Let me go to the phone lines because it's making my face hurt too. Let me say hello and welcome to Lee, who's in Minneapolis. Lee, what's going on? Hi.
Oh, Joe, you are so right. I'm so glad that you have come in there and shedding some light on the need for more explanation about these tariffs. I've been mad about this for over 30 years and originally how this happened is that when they negotiated these trade deals, United States sent politicians to do the negotiations. China and them sent their top business-minded people to do their negotiations while they kicked back in the green room. And so what happens is you got these career politicians who've never ran a business before, worried about being reelected, and, oh, yeah, donate some money to my wife's charity and I'll take this crappy trade deal back because I don't want to come back empty-handed.
Right.
So that's how this happened, is that the way I look at it, it's the way you explained the T-shirt thing. Before, we always got creamed in men's basketball because they were sending their professional athletes.
Right, exactly
and they said,
right.
We're better than America's basketball players. And then they said, okay, well, let's send Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and we'll send our best athletes.
Right.
And look what happened. They got creamed.
Yeah.
So you are so right that we got into this position because we sent career politicians to go up against the best-minded people. We should have been sending our Donald Trumps back in the day before he became president. I was like, why don't we send Trump? Why don't we send Trump to go do our negotiations and forget these politicians? So, like you said, this is 30 years, long time coming, my brother.
Well,
thank you so much for saying
thank you,
so.
brother. Well, listen, I appreciate that, man. I just want to explain it as simply as I possibly can because people don't understand it. They're not in the economy of it all. They don't know what the number is that the other countries are putting on. The assumption, if you just read the headlines and read the news stories from the legacy media, the assumption is that we are putting on tariffs and the other countries aren't doing it to us, which isn't true. I can't tell you how much I love that comparison to the basketball team. Sam, you might not have even known that. Back in the day, we only sent college basketball players to the Olympics.
Why?
So that we could lose to Russia, to the Soviet Union. I don't know why.
Yeah, apparently.
And we would lose. We would not get the gold medal. I think we might have. Remember when? Well, you don't remember this. You weren't born yet. You were nowhere. Not even a glimmer in my. I think I was 14. So when in 1980, when Lake Placid happened, the Miracle on Ice, where the United States beat the Soviet Union in hockey, was the biggest story on the planet because it was a bunch of college scrubs that beat a bunch of professional hockey players from the Soviet Union that we weren't supposed to be able to do. And then he's right. In 1992, I think it was 92, might have been 94, I think 92, we sent Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. We sent all these guys, David Robinson. We went down the list and sent the best basketball players on the planet, and they were like half asleep from partying too much, beating them by 50 points. It was crazy. I could not bring up a better comparison. We, for some reason, allowed them to tell us you have to send inferior players that weren't professional, that weren't the best on the planet, as you take on our very best, the top of the top. And we did it for a long time like a bunch of idiots. And then we stopped doing it, and you saw what happened. Great comparison. Let me go to the phone line and say hi to Jamie in Minnesota. Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Joe. How's it going?
Living the dream, man. What's happening?
Just a quick question. I'm just wondering, with all these tariffs, if all these hate Trump federal judges, if they can slap injunctions on like they did with everything else and try to at least pause the tariffs, or,
It's a great question. It's a great question. The answer is no, and let me explain it. I appreciate it. Jamie, very good question. A judge, first of all, can't just sue the Trump administration and put on an injunction. They have to have somebody bring suit to them, like the ACLU is suing over the trendy Arago idiots. So somebody have to bring suit. The only people that could bring suit, I would think, would be the companies that are getting the tariffs added to them or the countries, and that's not going to fly because he has every right to do it. There's so much precedent when it comes to tariffs, they can't possibly say Trump is doing something that hasn't been done since 1798. That's not the case. In fact, Trump is doing exactly what every president has done. And if you recall, before he left, Joe Biden said he was going to add more tariffs on cars coming in from China. So it's a good question. The answer is I don't know who the aggrieved party would be other than foreign countries or foreign-based companies. I don't think they have a leg to stand on. I mean, can you sue? You can sue over a ham sandwich, I guess. But the answer is probably would not stand up in court. And I don't think anybody would even try it.
From 1789 to 1913,
This is what Joanne was talking about when she called in.
we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, that's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart.
We are getting smart, and I'm glad that he's doing it. It's the right thing to do.